Between the time that Scream 6 ended, or between the time that it got released and now, we've been saying a lot of finallys. Okay, finally, they confirmed the seventh film. Finally, they gave a release date. Finally, Nev Campbell is returning. All this stuff. Well, here's another finally. One of the other original stars, Courteney Cox, who played Gale Weathers, she's returning. Now, this is according to International The News. This is a short article right here. Courteney Cox is officially returning to the Scream franchise for its highly anticipated seventh installment, despite a wave of major cast shakeups. With stars from the sixth movie, Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, exiting due to controversy and scheduling conflicts, respectively, the casting lineup has shifted dramatically. Only Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding are expected to return, leaving Courteney Cox's Gale Weathers as the iconic slasher's longest-standing character. I actually find that to be interesting. I wasn't sure if Mindy and Chad, that's Jasmine Savoy and Mason Gooding's characters, I actually find it interesting that they're returning, because I thought for sure, I said, well, with Sam and Tara being gone, that's like, okay, but where does that leave Mindy and Chad? Now, that's not to say that they can't do a movie without the others. I mean, again, my initial hope, and I still stand by this opinion, that if Melissa Barrera stayed, and they kept her character Sam, Tara, Kirby, Danny, Sydney, Gale, Mindy, Chad, if they kept all of them, and even brought back some other characters who had survived, say, the first 5 films, then I think, and I could be wrong on this, but there's no way to tell at this point, so my theory is essentially out the window, but I believe that if they had did the seventh movie like that, it could have possibly grossed. It would have potentially, maybe possibly grossed even more money than the first film. The first film was still the highest grossing film at the global box office. It grossed just over $173 million. And I said, well, if the seventh film goes the way I want it to go, as far as who the cast members are and all that, and a direct continuation of the sixth film, it probably could gross at least $175 million. But that's not to say that that can't happen, depending on how great the movie is and how shocking the Ghostface reveal is. But we got to wait till the movie gets released. And of course, all of you know I'll be seeing it on opening weekend. Courteney Cox said, she said this, "I'm the longest running Scream queen, so I guess I can't stop now." That's what she said at the Inc. 5000 conference in Palm Desert, confirming her involvement in the seventh film. The status of Hayden Panettiere's character, Kirby, who made a comeback in the sixth film, remains uncertain. I would love to see that. I think that would help too. The franchise is also seeing changes behind the scenes, with Christopher Landon no longer directing. Kevin Williamson, the original screenwriter, will now take the helm for the seventh film, which is set to be released in February of 2026. Similarly, back in March, Nev Campbell also confirmed her return as Sidney Prescott for Scream 7 after sitting out the sixth installment due to salary disputes. And I'm glad that that dispute came to an end. Now, here's the other question that begs. Now, I saw one article that said, could Sidney Prescott die in the sixth film? I'm sorry, the seventh film? Could Gale die? Well, when you're talking about movies, especially horror films, when the question begins with could, the answer is always the same. The answer is yes. Yes, they could die. Now, whether or not they should die, or whether you think they should get killed off, that could be argued in 100 different ways. You can ask many Scream fans. Some of them will say, yeah, they should just kill them off and pass the torch on to the younger generation. Others are saying, no, they should stay alive throughout the entire franchise because they're the originals and they're the ones who helped build the franchise. And then others are kind of indifferent to it, where it's like, okay, it's Scream. We're going to watch Scream regardless because we want to know who Ghostface is. So you can have Sidney, Gale, Sam, Tara, or you can kill them all off in the same movie, which I think would disappoint most fans. But again, but I like these type of fun discussions because it's horror movies and we get to talk with the other horror film geeks and nerds about this because that's what we do. So there's two different questions of what should happen versus what I think will happen. As far as what I think might happen with Sidney and Gale in the seventh movie, that's a tough one. I think there's a good 60 to 70% chance that Sydney survives it. I think it's a 50-50 that Gale would survive it. Now, should they? Me personally, I'm kind of indifferent about that. Kind of indifferent. I mean, you look at some other slasher films. I mean, they killed Alice Hardy in the second Jason film. They killed Nancy Thompson in the third Freddy film. And there's also Laurie Strode from the Halloween series, and she survived all of them. Now, of course, she was dead in one of the films. She was deceased in one of them, but really it turned out that she faked her death. I'll go more into detail about those movies in other videos. So other than that, Courteney returns, and we eagerly await and impatiently await the release of the seventh film. In the meantime, that gives me time to catch up on thousands of other shows and movies and do videos and give my reviews on them. So other than that, your Scream fan here. Scream fans for life. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned.